What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a 2024 update to Buster Blader. Now this is going to be Buster Blader Bystial, as in my opinion it's probably one of the best ways to be playing this deck, but it does have some spicy inclusions within the deck to give you alternative plays as well as just an extra deck lock or the option of a graveyard lock as well, depending on your environment you're taking it to. You could very easily side in the graveyard lock Buster Whelp for the deck as well, so it gives you those options for everything you need to. So this was requested by Moshin, so I thought I'd put this together. I am also working on an Invoked Shadow deck as well that has also been requested. If you do have any specific requests, by all means put them in the comments down below, and if enough people want to see it, I will be more than happy to bring it for you. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, we're going to dive headfirst into the profile and show you exactly what we've got. So we start off with 2 Buster Blader and 1 Buster Blader Destruction Swordsman. You don't need to be maxing out on this, which is why we've got a 2-1 ratio. If you wanted to cut it down, you could do a 1-1 ratio. But personally, I quite like the 2-1. It gives you a couple of different options. The reason we play the Destruction Swordsman is it is technically a Destruction Sword card, so you can search it out with a little bit more. The idea is you want to be sending your Buster Bladers from deck to the graveyard with your Destruction's Trap card in order to complete your Fusion Summon and ultimately a Synchro Summon, leading you to a board lock. Then for the main normal summon of the deck is Buster Whelp. Well, I say main normal summon is probably like the secondary main normal summon alongside Black Metal Dragon, which I'll talk about in a second. So the reason that Buster Whelp is so good is that on normal summon it allows you to add a Destruction Sword. Now we are, as a preview, playing Triple Tactics Thrust in the main deck because that's more ways of being able to get to the Destruction Sword card in order to complete your Fusion, Synchro, whole 9 yard play. There are other targets for Thrust in the deck, so it's not just a one and done, it is quite useful in other ways. If you don't have access to Triple Tactics Thrust, I'll talk you through some other options that you can play. And Whelp is on itself a 1-card combo that can lead you to the Buster Dragon lock, but not so much the Buster extra deck lock. That does require an additional card to do so. So on normal, it lets you add that. It also has the ability that you can be tributed to special summon a Buster Blader from the hand or graveyard. And if it's in the graveyard and you control a Buster Blader, you get to discard a Destruction Sword card to special summon it back. It is a level 1 tuner, so that does give you access to a level 8 Synchro play as well, which is quite important with the deck that we are playing. Then of course you do have the 1 Destruction Sword. Now this is the extra deck lock. If you want the graveyard lock, you do have the option for this one as well. Personally, I would either main deck the one that I feel is most effective for the environment that I'm going into, and I would side in the other one if that is a possibility. Obviously, the benefit for something like this is it is a level 1 tuner. And for those of you unaware, when it comes back to your turn, you can unequip this to summon it as a level 1 tuner, and then you can synchro into a level 9, which will be the Abyss Dragon. The reason you would do that is because your Buster Dragon will self-destruct during the end phase of that turn, so you do need to use it up or complete an OTK. Then for the other main normal summon of the deck, we do play triple Black Metal Dragon. Now the difference between Black Metal Dragon and Whelp is specifically on normal summon, whereas Black Metal Dragon is just when it is sent from the field to the graveyard. So it does give you a bit more use. And the idea is that your Black Metal Dragon will lead you into a Red MD, just because this gives you the ability to extend your board further. You can very easily play a second Red MD if you want to, and the other card that we are using to get to Black Metal Dragon is a 1-for-1. Now, like I said, ideally I would want my normal summon to be Whelp, but because we're playing so many different cards in the deck to get us to Destruction Sword, you don't need to rely on it wholeheartedly to be the only card. The best thing about it is if you do normal summon this and attempt to search and your opponent then bakes into the Ash or a Veiler, you then get the ability to thrust them and get the same outcome that you were going for anyway. Then the last kind of like monster that isn't a Bystial that we're playing in the deck is triple Assault Synchron. There's a couple of different versions out there. I went down the Synchro route version of this deck just because with Assault Synchron and the Bystials you're able to make Synchro level 8s and level 10s quite easily and quite nicely, giving you options for more defensive plays or more aggressive plays. These can very easily be swapped out for Super Polys if you are more inclined to go down that route and you're not a fan of the Synchro route. It is entirely up to you. This is just another one of them ones that you pay 700, summon itself down, and then if you do tribute a dragon on the field, it can come back from the graveyard. Another option, if you don't want to play Super Poly and you don't want to play this, is you can cut them out for extenders. And the reason you would cut these out for extenders is that then gives you more consistency for your 2-card combo to complete the full Buster Dragon extra deck lock. And the extenders that I'd probably advise more time than not is a Jester Conflict, just because it's a free summon no matter what happens. You can only control one of it, but the idea is you summon it, you get rid of it, and if you've opened up more, you can just summon more down and extend your plays even further. Speaking of extenders and a way to protect you, I do play the 1 instant fusion. The reason we play the 1 instant fusion is the fact that it can become an extender in the form of the Millennium Eyes Restrict, which can also become a protector in order to deal with certain types of hand traps. You'll see that there isn't Call by the Grave in the deck, and I wanted to keep it as a flat 40. And the way that I looked at it is if I was relying on 1 card and I only had the space for 1 card, I'd rather it be an instant fusion over a Call by, because then it still allows me to play my hand traps, and it also gives me that ability for the extender. You can very easily play Call by the Grave in the main deck if you want to, and there are a couple of cards you could cut depending on your playstyle and budget available to you. For the remainder of the Buster Blader cards, we are playing triple prologue. So you could, if you wanted to, cut this down because you have so many different ways to get to it. But then the issue is the whole deck is designed about getting to this card. So if you cut it down and you're never seeing it, then you need to max out on it. So you'd rather max out on it and be like, right, okay, I'm seeing it too much, let's cut it down, than I'm not seeing it enough, let's build it up. So the reason this is so good is you send a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader monster from your deck to the graveyard, except itself, and then you get to special summon a Buster Dragon from your extra deck or graveyard. However, you destroy it during the end phase of the next turn, which is why when you're activating this during your opponent's turn, it will get destroyed during your turn as it comes back, and that's why you want to unequip the lock, go into Abyss Dragon before it gets destroyed, and then ultimately, you're trying to push for an OTK, but if you're not pushing for the OTK, you've got the Abyss to set you up, and if you've got the ability to go for Prologue it again, you then get the Buster Dragon back onto the board and you're locking your opponent down because you would have maintained the Destruction Sword fusion monster. We've then got the 1 Destruction Sword of Memories, which is again why you want to play multiple Prologues, but you only need to really play 1 of the Memories, because once you get the Buster Blader Destruction Swordsman on the board, that's it. It shouldn't really go anywhere, and then that's where you want to be able to get Buster Dragon a couple of times over, which is why Prologue is so important. Now, obviously, these are normal trap cards, so they can be set off for Thrust. Obviously, this is the one you're going to want to go to 99.9% of the time, but if you've already got this, another one that I really like going for is the Red Rain. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Red Rain, it is a normal trap card, and if you control a level 8 or higher Synchro monster, oh, that's a Chaos Angel, but yes, that would count as well, your Buster Dragon. If you control this, banish all monsters on the field except monsters with the highest level. Now, the best thing about that is because Buster Dragon and Buster Blader Destruction Swords are both 8s, as long as this is the higher level, or this is the highest level on the board, you clear off the entire board and you keep these on the board. So you maintain your lock. It's also really kind of cool because if a Dark Dragon Synchro monster is Synchro summoned to the field, well, to your field specifically, while this is in the graveyard, so when you make a second Buster Dragon or the Abyss Dragon, you get to reset the rain. So you're constantly getting more ways of being able to completely wipe off your opponent's entire board, move round for the OTK. Keeping in mind that if you activate this turn 0 when you've already got the Buster Lock, you keep your level 8s on the board, you clear their board off, you're good to go. Now, obviously, your Fusion Buster Dragon can't attack directly, but what it will do is when it comes back to your turn, you can Buster Dragon, and then you could actually get rid of the Buster Blader if you wanted to, but ideally more times than not, you'll get rid of the Buster Dragon to go into Abyss, and then you'll be able to reset the rain, and what that's going to give you is you're going to have done a bit of damage to your opponent, and if you absolutely have to, you can activate the rain while you have Abyss on the board. Abyss would stay, everything else would go, and then you'd activate a second Prologue to get you a Buster Blader Destruction Sword on the board, Buster Dragon onto the board, and then you'd be able to build your plays up further from that point on. So it's just a really kind of cool board wipe. Like if you're already locking your opponent down, at any point they threaten that board, you then just clear it all off and you're good to rock and roll. For the hand traps, pretty standard on this one, Triple Ash Blossom, Triple Whimper, like not much more really needs to be said about that. You just play the baseline staples of the entire format. You obviously got to consider you're also playing the Bystials as well, which I'll show you right at the end. Then for more consistency cards, I am playing Triple Pot of Prosperity. Again, this is another option that you could put Super Poly into the deck if you wanted to. These can be Where Art Thou's, they can be extenders, it's entirely up to you. The idea is that Pot of Prosperity will help you dig to get to your Whelps or your your Darkness Red Eyes, just to give you that starter in order to, your Black Metal. Just to give you that starter to get everything going. It can also help you bait out a hand trap and help you dig into a Bystial engine if you want to. You have loads of different options. And then, of course, the Triple Tactics Thrust that we've already mentioned. I'm playing this at 2. You can play at 3. I would also consider that if you take out your Prosperities, you'd look at Triple Tactics Talents. And the idea is you just want more targets to be able to be searched off of Thrust. More times than not, you want it to be a trap, which is why we're playing 2 traps, because we want to go first. But if you do go second, Thrust can then get you into board breakers in the form of Lightning Storms, Dark Rulers if you want it, and then, of course, stuff like Triple Tactics Talents. For the Bystials, of course, we are going with Triple Lubellion. double Saronir, 1 Magnemute and 1 Druid Swarm, alongside 1 Regained and of course the 1 Beast. So you're pretty much covering all the bases of that one. You've got a very nice pop control card, you've got a very nice draw and recycle card as well. And the best thing about it is if you do go through the synchro plays of this element and you're trying to go into a level 8, your level 8 can be Borreload Savage Dragon. So that would then also complement the Red Rain combo, because you would have a Omni Negate in the form of the Savage Dragon, plus the whole Dragon lock, and maybe an extra deck lock, and then on top of that, Red Rain will not touch any of those 3 cards, which is really, really cool. So that's it for the Bystial lineup, and pretty much the standard, I wouldn't even say standard staple cards, just standard extender cards, or cards that can help your consistency as much as possible. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, we are going to be playing double Buster Blader, Destruction Swordsman, and then double Buster Dragon. You could play 1 Destruction Swordsman if you want to, and what I'm going to show you at the end of this video is I'll show you some other alternatives for your extra deck. I'm only going to show you 14 main deck ones that I'm playing at the moment, and then it's up to you what you'd want to take out for the other kind of alternative cards that I'll show you at the end. So with the rest of these fusions, of course, we do play the 1 Millennium Eyes Restrict, and for the rest of the synchros, as you'll see, we are playing the 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and then because we are playing the Assault package, we are playing the 1 Baron, the 1 Dispater, and the 1 Savage. Now, alternatively to these, if you wanted to, you can very easily add in a Chaos Angel. You can also, if you want to turn your Synchro level 8, which is your ability of any Bystial level 6 plus the Assault, into a level 10, you can go through Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, and that can then ultimately get you into a Stardust Dragon, which will lead you into a Synchro level 10. You don't have to play the Stardust Dragon, you can cut it out, but what is quite nice is if you Synchro into this and you tribute it off, it will allow you to bring back, you don't need to bring back the Assault Synchron, because when you tribute this off to get Stardust, Assault Synchron can come back anyway. So you could play Synchro level 9s if you wanted to, something like a Shen Shen, but ultimately you'd probably want to stick to your 10s. So the idea is you'd go a Cell Synchro, bring back your Synchron from the graveyard, then you tribute this off, bring out Stardust. Stardust would then sync with the level 2 to go into your Baron de Fleur, or of course you can go into your Bystial Dispater, because both dragons. So that is one alternative option you can add into this if you wanted to. This is in place of the SP and IP options. So the way that I saw it is, if I'm not putting SP in, there's no point in me playing IP, because I'm just going to go spheres for my plays. And if you're not playing the synchros, which is 1, 2, 3, they are your free super poly targets should you go down that route. And then for the last of the Link monsters, we are playing the 1 Striker Dragon. So the reason you'd play this is if you want to turn your Black Metal Dragon, you need to get it off the board. You'd turn that into Striker Dragon. You'd search out your Red MD. Red MD can then summon itself down. And then that's how you can use 2 monsters with your Striker Dragon to get into your Hieratic Seals. Seals is obviously a very nice non-target bounce, as well as being able to get a Magnemute from the graveyard to give you that end phase search should you need it. Then the other Link one I play is the Relinquish Anima. You can be more defensive if you want to, and this can very easily be a Link Karibo. It's entirely up to you, whether you want to play defensive or offensive, or if you just want to play this extra deck exactly how I've laid it out in front of you, not including the alternative options for stuff like Chaos Angel, SP, and Axel, then you would look at putting in the Link Karibo and be absolutely fine with it. And the last 2 Link 2 that we play is the Protector Whelp of Destruction Sword, and this is how, when you get into this, you get to send a Destruction Sword card from deck to the grave, and that's how you're going to set up either the Graveyard Lock, or you're going to set up the Extra Deck Lock as well. So you've got kind of different options there. I'll show you the 2-card combo and the 1-card combo at the end of the video, just so you can kind of see how everything comes together to get you the Buster Dragon Lock, which is really, really nice. But like I said, this is only going to be 14 cards that I've shown you in front of you. Your options are adding in a Link Karibo, adding in Chaos Angel if you have it, or you can take out any one of these cards that I've shown you here. So probably the one you'd want to take out or consider taking out the most would be your Buster Blade of Destruction Swordsman, put it down to 2. And that would then give you the option to put in Axel and Stardust, or IP and SP. So really is up to you. There's a bit of flexibility depending on the budget you have available to you. Like when you look at this extra deck here, apart from Dispater, it's all relatively budget. Like it all came in the Rarity Collection set. It's all had reprints in Mama. It's had Gold Rare reprints. You name it, this is all very easily attainable. It then comes down to the expense you want to add into it as to whether or not you're putting in any of these main cost cards right here. So that's it for the main deck. What I'm going to do is I'll show you how you do the Buster Lock, just so you've got everything in one video. I'll show you how you do it, just the normal Buster Lock without a Graveyard or an Extra Deck Lock, and then I'll show you with an extender how you can do both. So we'll be back in a second. So the 1-card combo is very simple. It comes off the back of the Buster Whelp. Now, like I said, if you have an extension, I'll show you how you end up getting the full lock as you need to. Keep in mind, if you do have in the remainder of the 4 cards in your hand a Trill Tactics Thrust or a Prosperity, you'll be able to dig for the trap card as well while baiting out a hand trap, which is very nice. So you're going to start off with the Buster Whelp. This is going to allow you to add a Prologue of Destruction Swordsman from deck to hand. Then what you're going to want to do here is you can turn your Buster Whelp into any Link one that is applicable. So Link Karibo is probably your best defensive route. If you do have an extender you want to get into Spheres, you'd actually go for Striker Dragon. It really is up to you. Now obviously I would go Relinquish Anima here, but I'm going first, so Striker Dragon is probably a little bit more effective in that sense. Then what you do here is you'd pass your opponent's turn during your opponent's draw phase, standby phase, as early as you possibly can, so they've got less ways of interacting with you. You'd activate Prologue, and you would send as cost from deck to the graveyard a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader monster. So Destruction Sword will be Memories, and the Buster Blader will, of course, be Buster Blader. This will then allow you to synchro summon from your extra deck, or special summon a Buster Dragon from the extra deck or graveyard, but you destroy it during the end phase of the next turn. In doing so, you can then activate the Destruction Sword, and this will allow you to banish a Buster Blader and a Buster Whelp in order to summon you out a Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer. This then gives you the ability, so it cannot be special summoned by other ways, but it cannot attack directly. This card gains 1,000 attack and defense for each Dragon type monster your opponent controls or in the graveyard. You change all Dragon monsters your opponent controls into defense, and Dragon type monsters your opponent controls or possesses cannot activate their effects, which is really kind of cool. It does piercing battle damage, and the reason that's important is because your Buster Dragon, all monsters your opponent controls become Dragon type. Once per turn, if you do not control a Buster Blader monster, you can target a Buster Blader in your graveyard and special summon it. And then once per turn, during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you get to target a Buster Blader monster in your graveyard and equip it to one Destruction Sword monster from the equipped a Destruction Sword monster from the graveyard. So that is where your Buster Blader is going to come into play. So that I'll show you in the 2-card combo, which is basically Whelp plus an extender. Here is the 2-card combo, and in this version of the deck, of course, it will be the 1-card combo of Buster Whelp plus any extender in the deck. Now the idea in all of these is it is a Bystial that will allow you to extend. The better Bystial you have, the better your end board / hand will be. So obviously if you have Lubellion, you can go a little bit further. If you have Magnamut, you'll be able to search out a Druid Swarm, so on and so forth. So in this example, I'm just going to use Saronir. Yes, of course, we can use the Foolish Burial and everything else, but I'm going to not use this effect just to kind of highlight how you're only using this as an extender. It's literally all you're doing. So you'll start off by normal summoning the Buster Whelp, but Buster Whelp's effect will then allow you to grab your Prologue of Destruction Swordsman. This combo can be done pretty much the exact same way. You would just need to hard open the Prologue or get it off of the Pot of Prosperity. So there's more ways to dig for it. It would just replace the use of having to need to use Whelp. Now what you need to do is get Whelp into the graveyard, so that's when you're going to link it off. And of course you can go into your Striker Dragon, you can go into your Relinquish Anima. It really is up to you. If you do go into your Striker Dragon and you have an additional extender, you're able to actually add spheres to this end board as well, which is really kind of cool. But I'm just going to show you what you can do with the base minimum. Then what you do is you're going to activate Saronir or whatever Bystial you have to banish the Whelp to summon it down. Then at this point what you want to do is you want to link these both together. And you're going to go into a very nice generic, thankfully, Protector Whelp of Destruction Swordsman. And this is going to allow you to send either your extra deck lock from the deck to the graveyard or the graveyard lock, depending on which one you want to go for. So we're going to go for the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, and that's going to go to the grave, and then you're going to pass your turn. Then what you're going to do here is you're going to activate as early as possible, draw phase, standby phase, you name it, the Prologue, in order to send from deck to grave as cost a Buster Blader and your Destruction Sword of Memory. You can then still, at this exact moment in time, because it sends as cost, banish the Destruction Sword of Memory, which is really nice, but we're just going to wait for this to resolve first anyway, to giving us a Buster Dragon, and then activate Destruction Sword of Memory by banishing Buster Blader and a Dragon type, so you actually have the ability to banish Striker or Saronir, entirely up to you. Do not banish your Whelp, that is the most important thing. So either two that you banish doesn't make much of a difference, just make sure it's not Whelp. This will then allow you to get into your Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. And then the best thing about that is you have the quick effect of a Buster Dragon in order to target a Buster Blader monster you control and equipped it with a Dragon Buster Destruction Sword from the graveyard. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can special summon the equip card if you wanted to, so you're going to do that during your next turn. But while it is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. Whoop whoop! Full lockdown. Now, like I said, you still have a remaining 3 cards in your hand. These can be more hand traps. They can be Red Rain. They could be Triple Tactics Frost. You name it. You could have also opened up any of your other Bystials, which would have then allowed you to lead into a Druid Swarm. You could have got a Regained off the back of this as well. And when you've got a Regained, should you have got, for example, a Magnemute, you'd put the Magnemute back and you would draw an additional card. So you're just getting more and more and more resource. So you've got loads to kind of play around with. But ultimately what you're saying to your opponent is, all of your monster effects are negated, they're all shifted to defense, they're all dragon type, and you're locked out of the extra deck. Come at me, bro, what are you going to do? So that's what makes this deck incredibly good. The issue is that it does run into pretty much every hand trap, and its particular type of play, locking out the extra deck, is ideally or predominantly for going first. So if you're not going first with this deck, it can become a little bit of an uphill battle, which is why people do decide to play stuff like Super Poly. But Super Poly comes in and out of the format and is really down to the local environments. You can never guarantee that it will fully resolve, but it does give you an option to break a board should you want to, and then ultimately not go for an OTK, but go for a lock after that fact as well. Anyway, I hope this has given you a bit of an insight into the deck, exactly what it does, a couple of different options you can play with it as well. I really do like the route the Buster Blader can go. I feel what I try to do more times than not with Buster Blader is make sure that it is a Buster Blader deck rather than a Dragon Link with a Buster Blader engine. If you wanted to play a Buster Blader engine, you can play stuff as easy as stuff like this, which is like base minimum just to get you a Buster Blader, the Structure Sword to the graveyard, and everything else. So really is up to you. I do like it. I like the way the Buster Blader works. I just need to kind of... It's making sure that it can play through the particular type of formats, which the lock is 99.99% successful. It's just that 1% where if you don't resolve it and you don't complete it, you are in a bit of a trouble. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.